Photographing different skin tones is one of the biggest questions I get. And to be honest, I don't even know why. This video is sponsored by Evoto. And by the way, Evoto is going to make editing different skin tones so easy, you're never going to use anything else. So wait till we get to that. First, let's talk about gear. I'm photographing with my Canon R5 here, and I use my Canon RF 50mm 1.2 as well as my Canon RF 20-70 f2. We're photographing in 100% natural light. Now, if I can just sort of, I don't know how to put this, like get the elephant out of the bag, pull off the band-aid. I don't usually think too differently when I'm photographing two different skin tones. Do I want to represent their skin tones correctly? Yes, absolutely. But I'm also not photographing them in the sense where I'm like, okay, how do I alter my exposure? How do I change this? Because when I'm photographing two different skin tones, it's very similar to photographing a white bridal dress next to a black tux. I'm going to photograph it so the bridal dress shows up white and then the black tux shows up black. It's somewhat similar when we're working with different skin tones. Now, as far as white balance goes, I do tend to go more for a warmer white balance. I was using auto white balance here, but in editing, I'm going to go a little bit more for a warmer look. I just think it brings out both skin tones really nicely, especially when the shadows have more of a warmer glow to them. I mean, skin tones across the board are made up of red, orange, and yellow, and a combination of those plus the luminosity. And with that in mind, I tend to bring down a little bit of the saturation of those three so it doesn't look like oversaturated in the imagery, but I'm also making sure that it's represented there as well. The big thing I'm looking for is light in the eyes. So in a lot of these, you'll also see me using a reflector. That's to make sure that no matter where I have the models Samantha and Tatum looking, I get light and catch light in their eyes. So those same rules apply. Now, one thing you want to be careful of is just your overall exposure. It is really easy when you are photographing darker skin tones to overexpose. You don't want to do that. And you want to also, really in any skin tone, look at what it is in real life, and then you're combining it with the artistic vision that you have in mind. Because editing light or dark or skin tones or colors, like all of that actually is subjective. And it's not just subjective to you as the photographer, but it's also subjective to the client. I've had plenty of clients that wanted to have me darken their skin tone or lighten their skin tone. So you want to take that into consideration when it comes to how you're photographing your editing. But mostly when you're photographing, I am just looking to make sure I retain my details in the highlights, retain my details in the shadows. Now I am going to throw these into editing and take care of some of the shine here. That is definitely a big issue. So far, you've just been looking at basic edited photos, but let's jump in and look at how we can edit skin tones on the back end. So let's hop into Evoto. If you haven't heard about Evoto yet, you've probably been hiding under a rug, but it is the world's top retouching software for photographers. It is AI based, and it's something that I use in my business overall. But one of the things that I love about Evoto is its ability to retouch and edit according to the person in the photo. Now, it could be male, female, child, senior, or you can edit to individual person, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. Now, these are the raw files, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to just edit each one of them so that I have a fine-tuned look and just overall exposure for how I want these images to look. But then I'm going to go back and handle retouching. Now, I could do it all at the same time, just use some of my presets, definitely. But for this and editing skin tones and really fine-tuning the difference between the two skin tones and how we want them to look, I want to go into the individual editing mode and select one or the other. Now I'm going to go ahead and select Samantha first, and we're going to go through all of the different retouching things that we can, like freckles and acne, eye bags, skin. We can do frequency separation and smooth out the skin, even it, dodge burn. I mean, the capabilities of Evoto are just wild, but the part I really want to get to is down in skin tone. Now, I do love the fact that I can AI unify complexions because, you know, that happens. Sometimes we have a lighter face than we do shoulders and chest, and that can be a little bit distracting in an image. So being able to unify it is great. But what I really want to get to is selecting the skin tone. Now, These skin tones are obviously very limited here because there's certainly many more skin tones than we see here, but I'm going to go ahead and select the one that's closest to the actual skin tone of my model, Samantha. And then from there, we're going to adjust it. Now, I kind of thought it was the first one at first, and then I realized, you know what? It didn't have the warmth and the richness that one of the other selections did. So you really just have to mess around with that. And I keep going back and forth between looking at the original image and looking at the retouched and edited one so that I'm making sure that I'm having the correct color. So skin tones are made up of orange, yellow, and red, all three of them. And when you have all three of them together, especially bringing in, the color temperature, the white balance you're setting your camera to, the tint, there's certainly an infinite number of ways that you can adjust someone's skin tone. But I'm personally trying to go as true to natural as possible. And then I'm going to edit that warmth, make sure there is a warmth in the skin. You don't want to make anyone's skin look too cool unless it's an overall look you're going for, I guess. And then depending on if my client wants their skin brighter than normal, then I can up that skin radiance. Now, I know Samantha does not, so I'm going to leave the skin radiance at 0. Now, when I go to sync these to the rest of the photos, it's going to only apply those edits to Samantha through the rest of the photos. So the same thing that I did on skin tone in the first photo is going to automatically, when I hit sync, be applied to the rest of the photos that Samantha is in, where we are editing the same exact way. So it's the fastest way that you can individually retouch and edit skin tones by using Evoto. By the way, you can get a discount. Make sure you check out the link below and use the code VJOY, I believe it is, and it'll give you a discount there. Now, of course, I'm going to retouch Tatum, and a couple things that I want to do. Again, I'm keeping to her true skin tone as much as possible, adjusting that overall, and then we're going to apply it to every one of the images. What I can do at this point is still some global adjustments. In this particular preset, it automatically applied a little bit of AI body reshaping, so I'm just going to take that out. And these are global adjustments now, just because I selected all, so I'm getting a lot of retouching done at the same time, and then I can sync it. And every single one of these photos across the board are looking amazing. Retouching is subjective, and honestly, I did go back and take off a little bit of the skin smoothing because it was a little bit over retouched to me. But that part's subjective, and you can do whatever you want. You can make this look less retouched and more natural as possible. So that part is subjective, but overall, this looks pretty good to me. Maybe a little bit heavier than I would do normally, but overall, this is supposed to be a fashion shoot. So something a little bit more on the retouched scale is probably suitable for these images. So let me know what you think. I hope this gives you a little bit of insight into how I think when I'm photographing different skin tones, really just darks and lights, not only in how I photograph them, but in how I edit them later. It all comes together to create images that hopefully your clients, your models absolutely love. I'm Vanessa Joy. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you next time.